In this video, we're going to determine whether two vectors are parallel, orthogonal, or neither. Orthogonal is a fancy way to say perpendicular. Okay? So two vectors, v and w, are said to be parallel if there is a non-zero scalar alpha so that v equals alpha times w. In this case, the angle theta between v and w is 0 or pi. All right. So vectors v equal 3i and then minus j, and w equal 6i then minus 2j are parallel. Okay. How do we know that they're parallel? Well, how do I make this one look like the first one? Well, if I multiply 1/2 times w, I get 1/2 times 6i minus 2j, which equals 3i minus j, which is equal to v. So 1/2 w equals v. So alpha, my scalar here, is 1/2. Okay? Furthermore, if you wanted to use your formula, the cosine of theta equals w, or v dot w, over magnitude of v times the magnitude of w. Well, v dot w is equal to 3 times 6 is 18, plus a -1 times -2, so that's 20, okay, divided by the magnitude of v, which is equal to the square root of 3 squared plus -1 squared, which is square root of 10, and the magnitude of w, which is the square root of 6 squared and the -2 squared, which is 36, that's square root of 40. Okay, so square root of 10 and the square root of 40, so that's 20 over square root of 400. Square root of 400 is 20, so 20 over 20 equals 1. So the cosine of theta equal to 1. The only way I can get cosine of theta equal to 1 is going to be theta equals 0, okay? And if theta equals 0 or pi, then we know that that angle between, that means that they are parallel, okay? So that's just one more way. So the angle between v and w is 0, therefore parallel. So that's another way to prove that it's parallel using that formula. Okay? Now, to determine if it's orthogonal, if the angle theta between two non-zero vectors v and w is pi over 2, which is 90 degrees. Okay. That's orthogonal. Okay, so since the cosine of pi over 2 is equal to 0, it follows that v dot w equals 0. Okay? You think about it, all right? The cosine of theta equals v dot w over magnitude of v, magnitude of w, right? The only way a fraction is equal to 0 is if the numerator is equal to 0. So if I get a cosine of some angle gets me 0, cosine of pi over 2, which is orthogonal, 90 degrees is that angle between, making it perpendicular. That tells me, in this little theorem here that's pretty handy, two vectors v and w are orthogonal if and only if v dot w equals 0. So if the dot product is 0, then they're orthogonal to each other. Okay, so very powerful, very quick way. Okay, so if the dot product is 0, then it's orthogonal. So that's a quick way to tell. All right, so the dot product measures how parallel versus how perpendicular your vectors are with respect to each other. So the closer your dot product is to 0, the more orthogonal you are, okay? And the closer you are to 1, the more parallel you are, okay? So we want to determine whether two vectors are orthogonal, right? So v equals 2i minus j, and w equals 3i plus 6j. Now if I do the dot product v dot w, this is equal to 2 times 3 plus negative 1, that comes from this coefficient, that scalar here, times the 6, and so that gives me 6 minus 6, which equals 0. And so since v dot w equals 0, then v and w are orthogonal. Okay, they're orthogonal. All right.